Hello and welcome to the channel. In today's episode, I'm going to be making diced tomatoes, but I'm going to do it in an untraditional way. I'm going to be taking these already canned whole tomatoes and turning them into diced tomatoes. But the twist, I will be canning them. If you'd like to see how I do that, stay tuned. I recently learned that you can recan certain canned food items, and tomatoes is one of them. Here is some Italian San Marzano tomatoes that I would like to put on my shelf and turn them into diced tomatoes, because there are many recipes that I cook or that I could possibly cook that call for tomatoes, and I never seem to have them. So today I'm going to take these canned tomatoes, I'm going to de-seed them, and I'm going to turn them into diced tomatoes. So first off, open up the can. Just in case there's someone out there who has never opened up a can of anything before, I'm going to open up, sorry about that, hit the camera. I'm going to open up this can. Now my can opener is not a new can opener, but it's kind of sort of new technology. It opens up the can from the seal. It doesn't cut across the top of the can, leaving it jagged. So if you have little people in your kitchen, this is not going to harm them because there aren't going to be any sharp edges that could hurt either yourself or one of your loved ones. So all you do is hook it onto your can, run it around, and then take the can up like so from the seal. See? No sharp edges. Gotta love it. And oh, by the way, it's manual, so you can take this with you or you can use it in the event of a power outage. So win-win. These tomatoes are in their own juice. What I'm going to do is dump them inside the bowl. I'm going to take the seeds out and then dice them. I've washed my hands and grabbed a small knife. So I'm just going to dump these tomatoes, hopefully not making too much of a mess, inside of the can. Now I will put a tiny bit of water to get the rest of that juice out because I don't want to lose anything. So let me get some water and do that. All right, I have a little bit of water off to the side. I'm going to put a little water in this can, swirl it around, and try to get the rest of that tomato sauce out of that can like so. You don't need to watch that. That's pretty simple to do. Just swirl it around and pour it out, and I'll be right back. So now I'm just going to take a tomato, and again, my hands are clean. I just washed them once more, and I'm going to double check to make sure there aren't any seeds in here. And as I can see, there are some seeds, so I'm going to take these seeds out. I'm going to try not to lose too much of my juice, but I do want those seeds out of my tomatoes. So you all can't see it, but off camera over here, I'm going to try and get these seeds out. So I'll be right back. To show you what I'm doing, I just pick up the tomato, and this one hasn't been sliced at all. So what I'm going to try to do is slice it here, right down the center, just like so. And this core is what I want to take out. That's where your seeds are going to be. And I'm trying not to lose those seeds, but I'm trying to get that core out. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing, and I'm just trying to cut it, not cut all that tomato goodness out. There's going to be a little bit, but see, here are the seeds right here. So I'm going to take these tomato piece off, and then here, no seeds. See? So I'm going to put that back in there. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this one right here. I'm going to place this off to the side, and I'm going to try to cut this core out without losing all of my tomato. Just like that. And there you have your tomato with no seed. So I'm going to clean this up, get any tomato pieces off like here, and put that back into my bowl, and then that's it. And oh, by the way, I'm going to try an experiment. I'm going to take these seeds and dry them and see if I can grow them. I don't think I can, but I'm going to try. So I'll be right back. If you hear that noise in the background, that is my canner. I have another project on the stove while I am working on this one. Now, this is a very messy process, and I still have several more cans to go, but I have poured out the tomatoes. I have cut them. There are still a few seeds in here. I'm going to try to strain that out, but here is where I am with the tomatoes, and I am going to get these into a waiting pot on the stove. I heated up a little bit of garlic and a tiny bit of olive oil just to infuse that olive oil with the garlic flavor, and so this is going to go in that, and it's going to wait until I am done with the others. It's been sitting with the eye off for a while, so it's not hot, so it'll give me a time to finish the rest of these cans, but I'm still cutting tomatoes. Full transparency, that was not as easy as it might otherwise appear. I have taken the cores out of all of those tomatoes, and I'm glad I did. I found peels. This is just some of the peels I found. I found that the cores were very hard. I found spots on some of the tomatoes that otherwise we are told that we can't can those types of tomatoes because they were really bad blemishes. So now that I have the tomatoes, all 6 cans, cored and de-seeded, I have them in the stock pot on the stove. I'm just going to warm them up a little bit because I have been running my canner on another project, and I don't want to put those tomatoes in a canner that's warm if they're not warm. So I'm going to warm them up on the stove, so let's go to the stove. The canner is coming down off of pressure, so it's making noise. I'm a little concerned about it, but I'm just going to leave it alone. That seems to be my MO. I'll see what it looks like when I open it up. Fingers crossed for that project, y'all. But this one, I'm going to turn on the stove, and I'm going to have it on medium-low, and I'm just going to warm this up, and then I'm going to jar this up. So let's warm this up, and I'll be right back. The diced, or in my case sliced tomatoes, have warmed through, and they're now ready to be jarred up. I kept some really hot water in my jars because they had cooled off from being in the dishwasher, and I didn't want my product to go into cold jars. So now I'm just going to pour that water out, get my funnel, and start jarring up my sauce. Now I'm going to leave the sauce on while I jar it up just to make sure that it doesn't lose any heat. And as you can see, it looks good. Now this is just what some would consider diced tomatoes. I'm just going to call them sliced tomatoes because all I did was just slice them up. If you hear any noise in the background, that's just one of my dogs. She is awake for some reason. It's really late. I guess she's trying to keep me company. So I am going to place these in my 26-ounce square mason jars, and I'm going to take it to a 1-inch headspace. I'm not quite sure how much I'm going to get out of these 6 cans of tomatoes. We'll see how far it goes. So I am going to fill as many jars as I can. I'm going to debubble and then wipe the rims with distilled vinegar, and then I'll be right back. I have my jar filled up to a 1-inch headspace. 1-inch headspace is the ring right here, and I'm going to take some distilled vinegar and wipe the rim. I made a bit of a mistake. Well, not necessarily a mistake. I filled it a little bit too high with product. So I got a little bit of a spill going on there. So I'm just going to make sure that I wipe this very well, just like so. And my lids will run under warm water. So I'm just going to place them on like that, fingertip tight. And as soon as I take what I have in the canner out, then I will place these in. So I've got about 3 more minutes before I can take what's in the canner out, and then I can put these in. So I'll be right back. I came out with 5 26-ounce jars of sliced tomatoes and 1 8-ounce jar of sliced tomatoes. For the most part, I got out all of the tomato seeds. There might be just 1 or 2 in there, but what I'm seeing is my seasoning. I used my cracked pepper meal, which consists of black pepper, mustard seed, and cilantro seed. So that could be what I see right there. But for the most part, they look pretty good. So now it's time to get them in the canner. The canner has come down off of pressure, and I can tell you that I was extremely concerned about canning this fish because I just felt like my canner had run out of water or was extremely close to running out of water, and I was extremely concerned about that. So I need to check it out and see what's going on. Sorry about that, I hit my camera. I could smell the fish as it was coming down off of pressure. That isn't a surprise when your canner is coming down off of pressure. Sometimes you can smell the contents. That doesn't mean you have broken jars. That could mean you have siphoning. That could mean the air is being pushed out, and so you can smell what's in it. So let's take these jars out. I have 4 salmon in here. I also have my 32-ounce jars of just hot water. I'm going to take one of these out and help myself, make it a little easier for myself to get my salmon out. Let's see. I'm so concerned about my canner. Can you guys see that salmon? I'm concerned about the salmon, if it's good or not. I had to cut the canner off just a little bit early, so I'm very concerned about that. That's not something you would generally do, but I was really concerned about the water level in my canner, and rightfully so. This was 100 minutes, but we shall see how this goes. The fish was partially cooked in, it sat in salt, vinegar, water, and it did cook it partially, as you can see here. But I'm very concerned about this not working out. As you can see, it's extremely hot. It is boiling like crazy. There we go. There was a reason why I said I did not want to can fish. It's 100 minutes and there's a chance your canner can, as you can see, that one siphoned. Well, believe it or not, that's not really siphoning because I didn't put any liquid in these jars. Let's move over to where I have the jars being placed. I place the diced or sliced tomatoes in the canner, and now it's time to get this party started. The lid always gives me trouble. Maybe one day I'll figure this out and I'll be able to do it the first go round, but that's not the case today. So close it up, make sure that it's sitting on the eye correctly, and turn on the fire and turn it to my sweet spot and let it come up to pressure. So, all right, here we go. It's time to put on my rocker and turn the fire down just a little bit and let it rock. I am using a couple of different references today. I am looking at my Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving. On page 372 and 373, it talks about tomatoes packed in water with a variation of tomato juice. Now, the time they say you should process this is 25 minutes for both pints and quarts. I also looked at on page 374, it says tomato juice, and it says processing both pints and quarts for the juice alone is 15 minutes. So it says 25 minutes to process the tomatoes packed in tomato juice. They were already canned, but I'm gonna go for the 25 minutes because that's what it says on page 373. And yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna let this jiggler start jiggling, and once it starts jiggling, I'm gonna set the timer for 25 minutes, and I'll see you back once it starts jiggling. Little mama has just started rocking, so 25 minutes on the clock. It is so deep off into the next morning that I almost forgot to bring y'all along. I am exhausted. But the sliced or diced tomatoes came out relatively well. There has been some siphoning, and I have left this in here for much longer than I normally do because, like I said, I'm tired. And I can tell that the water is red from the tomato juice. I have what appears to be so far one jar that has not sealed. Oh, I think he decided to change his mind. Looks like that jar has indeed decided to seal. I guess it was just taking this little slow, sweet time. And so I'm trying, you all don't see me, but I'm trying to maneuver my jars in a way that they are not sitting right on top of each other, and that they're not falling off the mat at all. Let's see, because I have some other items that I canned earlier yesterday evening. I've been canning for hours, and so I'm just trying to finish this off, and I'm trying to make room on my dry mat or my canning mat. And what I noticed is some of my lids loosen, so I just give them a little bit of tightening. Now, I know you all are probably wondering, why haven't I shown you the jars? But I'm going to show you. Give me a second. All right. Can you guys see? That is the tomatoes right there. And this is an 8-ounce jar. And this one has a lot of tomato debris on the top. So that one indeed siphoned. And I think that top is loose. It is. The ring is loose. So I'm just going to tighten it up just a little bit. And I'm going to show you. Ooh, popping. Something's popping. There's the water, as you can see, siphoning. So that's it for me, guys. I'm going to take this jar of water and I'm going to pour it out and place my jar on a surface, one of the near one of I can't even think of what I'm saying. I'm sorry. It's the next morning and my brain is sleepy. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna take that and put it on my hot pad and just leave it. I'm gonna leave this as is. I'm gonna let this come down and cool off, and I'm gonna clean this up tomorrow. I'm done for the day. It is the next morning. It is almost 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm exhausted. So here is my sliced tomatoes as well as my salmon that I canned earlier in the evening. If you guys like my content, do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up. Share my content. Leave me a comment. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for returning and thank you for subscribing. If you're returning and you're not subscribed, consider I can't talk because it's really early in the morning for me. Consider subscribing. It would help my channel out a lot and I would greatly appreciate it. Now, before I completely lose the ability to use my tongue, I'm gonna say good night and good morning, and I'll see you in the kitchen very soon. Bye for now.